Hello everyone watching at home. We are Adelaide Eternal and we're bringing you round 2 of our recent Legacy tournament. We run 3 different formats in the South Australia region: Legacy, Australian Highlander and Vintage. So I'm here in the booth with Beckett Wolfe.
G'day guys.
And I'm Sarven McLinton. We're going to have a quick look at our deck lists. So on the left we have Barrie Collis, and he is on Show and Tell, or Sneak and Show. And on the right we have who do we have?
Nick House.
Nick House, and he's on Fish.
And they're both pretty standard classic builds. One thing interesting about Nick's build is he's got 2 Warping Whale in the main board, which is a new one. It needs colourless matter though to cast, which you can get off Wasteland, Mutavault, Cavernous Souls.
Yeah.
So definitely
not a problem.
Yeah, definitely possible to cast, and does a range of things. And I think probably the most important being counter a sorcery, which could be a number of combo spells or sweepers.
Show and Tell, Terminus.
Yeah, well, Show and Tell is one of them.
That's right.
And it can also exile creature with toughness 1 or less, which gets rid of power 1 or less?
Power or toughness, I believe.
Yeah, so it just gets rid of a few annoying chump blockers or guys like that. So.
And at the end of the day, the Fish deck is fundamentally it's an aggro deck where it has aggro creatures, but with blue disruption. So anything that's aggro with disruption is generally called Fish, when it's got a tempo element to it and it's low to the ground. And his disruption is in the form of Force of Will and Daze. Warping Whales as well for the counter spells, but one of the big pieces is Chalice of the Void. So he's got 4 Chalice. He almost always casts it for X is 1. It doesn't affect his deck in any way except for countering Curse Catchers, but by that point in time you probably have your Curse Catcher already cast. So it's really nice.
Yeah, the deck dumps cards out pretty quick, so especially if it gets the Aether Vial. I will say it does also hit the Aether Vial Sarv, but
yeah, true.
Again, I'd say same logic. It's out very early, if not first, and you don't need to play the Chalice on turn 2 necessarily. So it can get its hand dumped very, very quickly, especially with a Vial.
I mean, the ideal opener is turn 1 Aether Vial, turn 2 Chalice for 1, and technically the Aether Vial can pop in a Curse Catcher after that as well. It's pretty
and
pretty
even
crazy.
on the turn 2, if it's got the Curse Catchers, it dumps them and then dazes the 1 drop, and then the next turn dumps the Chalice to stop any further ones. So I think it's quite cool.
It's good.
It's got 1 random Jitte in there, which is pretty nice with a True Name Nemesis.
It just hoses people when you can just ping every creature they have or gain life to prevent getting tendrils out. Like there's lots of reasons why Jitte is good, especially when your creature is unblockable. And the opposing deck, so Barrie Collis is on the Sneak and Show build. It's a relatively standard build. For those of you who are familiar with it, it's just got your bunch of combo cards in it, either Show and Tell or Sneak Attack, to plop out a really, really big fat creature, which usually is the equivalent of like a Reanimator deck, but it comes from your hand. That's the difference. So you don't get hosed by Graveyard Hate. It's also got a Singleton Omniscience, which if you can drop that off Show and Tell, allows you to cast all of your spells without paying mana. So allows you to actually cast the Emrakul, Aeon's Torn, which gives you a free turn, whereas it normally doesn't when it just gets plopped in by cheating it out into play.
Well, let's get to it, I reckon.
Lovely. All right, let's get down to the match. So we're just looking at the hands now. So it's a very control-heavy hand on both sides, actually, because both hands have at least 1 force. And who's on the play that will be important. So yes, if you're the Fish player, you want to be on the play. You normally always do, but when you're the aggro deck, that's really a really important aspect.
And both look like really good hands. I saw Tundra interestingly leading out with that.
And this is the ideal when you play your Lotus Petal and your Ancient Tomb. You got 3 mana on turn 1. If you got Show and Tell and you got a Force of Will to back it up,
you're
golden.
No! Is this going to be turn 1 Show and Tell with Force backup?
No, he's playing it safe. He probably has a Spell Pierce or something and wants to play an additional land.
I did notice 4 Spell Pierce in Barrie's deck. Now that is a lot, I think.
It's not standard, but
I don't mind
to catch
it.
people with it. Yeah, absolutely.
And I think, and it encourages very aggressive. I'm going to do this turn 2. I'm going to do this turn 3. But wow, Chalice, you're going to be pretty much forced to Spell Pierce that, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise the Spell Pierce is useless.
Absolutely. Chalice for 1 is very, very important.
But if I'm Nick here, I'm actually okay with that. You've played a Chalice and
2 for 1 your opponent.
You've 2 for 1 your opponent.
Yeah, so his Force of Willing back, exiling True Name Nemesis. True Name Nemesis is great. Sometimes you just don't have the time to play it against the combo.
Wow, so they are going all out fighting over this Chalice. I wouldn't have said that it was wrong to force there, but the fact that Barrie's forced back means Barrie must have a bunch of 1-drops.
Absolutely.
He's got Brainstorm, Spirit Dance, Ponders. There's a lot that it hits.
If his hand is one of those 12 one mana find another card cantrip deck hands, then he needs it.
And look, if I'm Nick, I'm still terrified of Show and Tell. But if I'm Barrie, I'm thinking, wow, I've just burnt Lotus Petal, Spell Pierce, Force, and a blue card, and now I need Show and Tell and a Grizzlebrand. That's tough.
Yeah, but when your opponent forces to protect their important card, and then you force back, and they don't force back again, you can pretty safely assume that your opponent doesn't have any kind of interaction. He can have a Daze, though, and that's one thing to always play around. You want to have that one additional mana against the Merfolk decks.
That's very true, and he definitely had the 2 mana from Ancient Tomb for the Daze here, so that would do it. If Nick's got the Daze here...
This is a Daze. It's blowout. It's really nice.
It's beautiful. I hope he's got it.
Yeah, I hope. He only runs 3. Yeah, some decks run 4, some decks run 3. It's according to the pilot.
Look, Daze is got to be one of the best cards, and it's so perfect in a deck like this. And
no, it looks like it's resolving, and he's placing this. One of the best things to place is the True Name Nemesis, and there it is. But it's very difficult to race a Grizzlebrand that attacks with lifelink with your 3/1.
That's a 14 life turnaround, that is. I'm trying to think if there's anything at all in Nick's deck that can stop it. Off the top of my head, I don't think there is.
You know what I like? There it is in the deck, but Vapor Snag. I love having a Singleton Vapor Snag in these decks. In these cards, he doesn't have it in the deck, but when you have a Singleton Vapor Snag, it's lovely.
I remember when I was playing Reanimate in Highlander, and I'd have these big fatties out like this, and I actually got raced by something like a True Name or a Click with a Jitte on it.
Yeah.
I think it's too late here, but wow. One thing about True Name is if you've got that turn 2 Jitte, they Show and Tell, you drop a True Name, and then you equip. You'd actually be surprised how effective the Jitte is at racing, even a Grizzlebrand.
Absolutely. Well, Cavern of Souls comes out for fish, which obviously is naming not fish, I'm afraid, and so you can't have uncounterable Gurmag Anglers.
Are there any fish? That is a fish.
Gurmag Anglers, zombie fish. Yeah. So you can name either zombie or fish in your zombie fish tribal. So attacking with the 3/1 brings his opponent down to 6. However, the lifelink is going to be a big issue. Grizzlebrand wins in 3 swings, and True Name Nemesis would normally win in 2, but the lifelink is the biggest issue.
Yeah, it's
And if your opponent is on fish and they don't play anything on turn 3 with a Cavern of Souls out, it's usually a sign that you're in the clear. Just go for it, keep bashing face, because if your opponent played a second True Name Nemesis here, that's a legitimate clock. Attacking for 6, and your opponent attacking for 7 and gaining 7, at least you reach some parity, and then you're going to start to try and amass a board.
Yeah, definitely. I think I don't want to say lucky because the whole deck was based around that, but you got to say Barrie had a really nice hand.
Oh yes, that was lovely,
and was confident in forcing back on the Chalice, and it makes me wonder why he actually did the second force.
True.
True. Because why did he need the 1-drop if he had the Show and Tell and the big guy in hand? Why did he force back? Or is he next leveling us and he was just testing the waters? Because
just to see if there's a counter spell.
If he wins the counter battle, well, Nick doesn't have counters anyway, and if he loses the counter battle, then he goes, okay, maybe I shouldn't jam. So it was interesting, although didn't play around the day. So
true. I agree. Using the Spell Pierce was probably correct, but losing a Lotus Petal in the process, when you can just ignore the fact that you have Spell Pierce, forget about it, and then play a land and be Daze immune because you've got 2 forces. Back up and definitely going to resolve your Grizzlebrand off Show and Tell. It's good. Alright, attacking with Mutavault. So he's basically possibly swinging for 5 here.
But it's never going to work if you're swing with the Mutavault now, then you're never going to race. So
no, you can't play enough creatures.
Yeah, as I said, there is some world maybe where you get a few Lords out. You had a turn 1 Ether Vial, and you dropped the Lords after a show and tell, and out of nowhere you can race it. But I don't think this is one of those games.
No, sadly not. So once you've gained an exorbitant amount of life off Grizzlebrand, and you're taking 5 now, and then you're about to swing again and go back up to 15, do you draw more cards or not?
No. I don't think you need to. I don't think you even want to.
You're already winning.
I think you want to give as little information as possible.
Yeah. Just swing twice with Grizzlebrand, right?
Yeah.
Keep your life total high, swing twice. I mean, he's got no answer for it. He doesn't know that. He doesn't know that there's no...
That's true. He might not know there's another Vapor Snag. But you can always gain 7 in response to a snag. Draw 7 in response to a snag.
And then lose 1 more life. Lose 8.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
When you're at 8, oh no, what's going to happen? Let's find out. So this is where he's worried. Oh, is that Vapor Snag? There's 1 blue there. Vapor Snag, I draw 7, I lose 1. So yeah, he goes up to 15, and the writing's on the wall. He's got lethal. If you don't have your Vapor Snag now, you're gone. But we know it's not in the list. But he's just playing around it. He's making sure.
Yeah. Does the Warping Whale 1/1?
Sadly,
not flying.
only a 1 power or toughness or less.
Oh, I meant the 1/1 that it generates.
Creates a 1/1 Scion that can be sacrificed for 1 colorless mana.
Scion or Scion? How do you pronounce it?
Tell us in the comments below.
Please tell us.
Please go to dictionary.com and... So here we go, he's attacking for 5, and he's going, hey, I might have Vapor Snag, because I've got 1 mana open. But his hand is 4 Highlands.
Yeah.
That's rough. He's even keeping them in hand to show his opponent, oh, I could have anything. I could have Vapor Snag.
Well, let's go to sideboards. That was a rather quick game, but you got to expect that off a show and tell matchup versus Merfolk. So
absolutely. So from Nick, we've got Fluster Storm is obviously coming in, and you could choose to bring in Echoing Truth hypothetically, because it does answer a big fatty like Grizzlebrand, but it cannot target Emrakul the Eon's Torn. You can also bring in Surgical Extraction. I do enjoy countering Show and Tell, then Surgical Extractioning the Show and Tell, because it doesn't cost you any mana. It's really, when you're in against a combo deck that wants to go off on turn 2, you want to have as much interaction as possible that costs nothing or 1, so that you can actually interact with what they're doing. You don't bring in all your Echoing Truths and expect that's going to be your answer.
Yes, unfortunately Nick doesn't have a great sideboard for this matchup. I really like the sideboard. I think it's got a lot going on. When you look at it at first glance, it's got good game against the range of decks. Unfortunately, it's got those 3 back to basics and doesn't really have a huge amount for a show and tell matchup. One really interesting card is Cursed Totem.
Yeah. So that's a 2 mana artifact that says creatures can't activate abilities. Activated abilities of creatures can't be played. So basically, it's Linvala, Keeper of Silence. If you're familiar with what was that, Razi Eldrazi, Worldwake, something like that.
Well,
one of those times. Back when I played, that was the last standard I played. And it's Linvala's is 3/4 with the same ability and flying. So it's nice to have something that can you have that ability, but happen a lot sooner.
On Barry's side, he has got 1 Flusterstorm. I don't think I want to put that in against the creature deck. I think he's sort of happy to try to win. I mean, that's a maybe. Definitely 2 Rebs, Red Elemental Blast, 3 Engineered Explosives. Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of
Engineered
Explosives.
And he's only got 2 colours as well. So that's interesting. I guess you can get 3 or 4 or 5 off the Lotus Petals.
Lotus Petal, this is true.
And 2 Grim Lavamancers is the most interesting card I saw there.
I like Grim Lavamancer when your opponent's playing creatures with 2 toughness or less, and right here he kills lords. As long as you don't get the second lord down to protect the other lords, it's nice.
When they're on 1 mana, when they only cost 1 mana though, you can often get that out pretty early. So,
do you think there's a world in which you bluff with Show and Tell and you see what they do, and then you place Grim Lavamancer in because it's the only interaction you have?
If you're expecting the days and you just let it get days and put them down a mana.
Yeah, and then you play Grim Lavamancer.
Yeah, maybe. As far as taking things out, that Chalice of the Void is got to be the forefront of Barry's mind, and maybe he just wants to take out. I think he wants to keep in Gitaxian Probe because he wants to see if the Daze is there, but maybe takes out. Geez, I don't know. Like
this is only answer to resolved Chalice of the Void actually engineered explosives for 0. That's the only answer he has in the whole deck, whole 75. Because that's interesting.
But he's got 3 of them.
He's got 3, yeah. That's interesting. Like maybe you do actually bring in engineered explosives because of the fear of a resolved.
I'd bring in engineered anyway because you can blow up lords that cost and such that cost 2. So I'd say he's bringing 3 engineered.
If it's not coming in here, when's it coming in?
Yeah, two Red Elemental and 2 Grim Lavamancer. I don't think you want to bring in the Flusterstorm.
No Flizzleflom?
Unfortunately, the deck's quite tight. Like, you don't want to take out your Preordains and such because it dilutes it. But then what are you taking out, Sarv?
Well, Preordain's the worst one. So if you do take something out...
He's only got 2 of them. So 2 Preordains out, I'd say. And then what?
I would... consider taking out some of your combo pieces, but because the whole point here is that rather than having redundancy, you end up having protection for the combo piece. So
do you need 4 Emrakul, 4 Grizzlebrand?
When you'll never catch me playing a deck with 4 Emrakul, 4 Grizzlebrand. Let's say that much. So I'm a little bit skewed on my response to that question. However,
I agree. I think 8 is a lot
of dead cards,
but I'm not saying it's incorrect. I think
it's the way the deck's built. That's just the way it has to work.
I think it's actually quite smart because he's got 4 times Show and Tell, 4 times Sneak, and then 9 combo pieces if you consider Omniscience. And so he's going hard. You know, he's got the 4 Lotus Petals, he's got Gitaxian Probe, he's got 4 Spell Pierce, which is cheap counter. He wants to get that out early, and he's going hard, and he wants to be very proactive. And then maybe post sideboard, he thins it out a bit.
Yeah. If you want to take something out and you're not going to bring Flizzleflom in, if you want to take something out, take out Spell Pierce. There you go. Because you're against a creature deck. The only counters you're countering Daze, and you can simply play around Daze, and you can counter Force of Will. So just bring your Red Elemental Blasts in to act as your Spell Piercers, but they're better because they kill your Lords, and there's 4 slots for you.
Yep, I think that's it. So, who do you reckon's got the advantage?
Well, now we have Fish on the play again, and for me, at the end of the day, because we know the sideboards, I'm saying advantage Sneak and Show.
I'll pay that. I'll pay that. Post sideboard, Nick unfortunately only had 1 to bring in, and Barrie looks like he's got
a lot.
7 to bring in. So I actually really want to see Grim Lavamancer get played, and I want to see Chalice of the Void get played. Yes. And I also want to see... I want to see too much. I'm greedy, Sub. Yep. I want to see a Jitty on a True Name Nemesis, and I want to see it race a Grizzlebrand. So if you can make that happen for me this game, that'd be great.
All right, let's work our magic.
See what we can
do. Yeah, we'll get our tech support team on stacking the decks accordingly. But yeah, here, I mean, as much as I say you won't catch me dead playing any decks that run 9 dead cards in the main as part of combos. I really like interactive decks, and I really like decks that have lots of angles. This has angles, but it's really linear. The goal is to be linear.
Well, it's got a plan, and I think that's what I like about Barrie's deck more than anything. You know, again, I'm in the same boat as you. I personally just don't like playing that many Emrakuls, but I really respect that Barrie's got a plan. And he's got a sideboard plan, and I think it's really cool. And I like the Grim Lavamancers.
And yeah, as much as I don't want to play the deck, I am definitely advantage Barrie in this matchup. He's gonna be able to just explode and protect his explosive plays. 3
Blood Moon for Barrie, despite only running 3 Island. A bit risky.
You see it occasionally in these Sneak and Show decks. Same as the cheeky young Pyromancer from the side. You know, just change your game plan and go, I'm going to lock you out, or I'm going to make some value Pyro tokens and go on a completely different angle.
I can see Submerge there in Nick's hand, and
but no green sources on his opponent's side.
No green sources.
No Tropical Island. It could be a mistake. He's never going to cast for 5.
And there we go.
It's a lovely hand. It's sculpted.
Hand.
It's ready to sculpt. It's got lovely fetch lands and brainstorm. Nice interaction. Yeah, so he's got Fizzleflom. He's got the Submerge. I don't think Submerge is ever going to get played this game because it's
No.
going to be hard cast for 5.
And even if you do Submerge, it can't hit the Emrakul, it can't hit the Omniscience, and it can't hit a Grizzlebrand without the Grizzlebrand first being able to draw 7. So that could be a mistake from Nick. But Barry's
we're so used to Submerge just being free. It's same as Snuff Out. In my head, it's free, but it actually costs 4 mana. Its mana cost is 4. Submerge's mana cost is 5, but it's free to me. I don't think of it in any other way.
Yes.
So sometimes you just figure.
Well, I think most of the time you're siding it in is against creature decks.
Yes.
And often they are green.
Oh, he ponders and he finds another Brainstorm, and we know his hand has got a number of fetch lands.
This could be one of those matches where he baits a show and tell.
Yeah.
I personally wouldn't do it, but I love seeing it done.
Sometimes you just want a rampant growth out that extra land against a deck that can play True Name Nemesis. So he plays the Silvergill Adept, which lets him draw a card, but he has to reveal a Merfolk from his hand to actually cast it for 2. So it's a nice start. This is where you want to be. If you can't have an Aether Vial, you want to have a bit of value. Rest on the Dazes and the like to protect. So here's Ancient Tomb, so he's got 3 mana. But you generally don't jam here because Daze is a thing. And they're on the play. You never take Daze out.
He doesn't have the Grizzle. This is a full... Or is it Omniscience? This is a full bait?
Well, let's find out. If you can Daze here, you Daze. No, he's actually resolving.
Oh, he's got the Emrakul. Okay.
Well, this will be a short game. See, that's ballsy to play show and tell.
If you nick, you almost want to just multi-hit Daze. Because he did this last time. He just jammed after counter battle. He doesn't know if Daze is there or not. He just jammed the final show and tell with no other cards in hand. He just had like land, show and tell, and the Grizzlebrand, and he jammed into Daze. Yeah, if you're Nick, do you want to just multi Daze?
Well, Daze is the strongest part of Daze is the more experience your opponent, the more they play around Daze. Therefore, Daze's value increases dramatically. And when you're on the play, they know you don't take out many Dazes.
There is a point at which you can play against Daze too much. It's almost a bit of a roller coaster there.
But when your opponent doesn't have Daze on their radar, then essentially, whether or not you have the Daze, when you don't have the Daze, it's horrible because they play and you go, oh no, what? Why are you doing that? I could have had Daze. Yeah,
and I can't really think what Nick could have in his deck at all.
Yeah,
there's no amount of GDs actually beats an Emrakul.
No, he's really casting some Lords to attack, and but he knows he's going to be sacrificing 6 permanents.
Well, I got to say, one thing I really like that Nick does have that would have been really good is a click in response to the show and tell, and you look at their hand, you let the show and tell resolve, but you look at their hand before and see what they want to drop, sink it, let the show and tell resolve, and then they have nothing to drop. That's a really nice play, and one of the better cards against show and tell.
Interaction. One of my favourite things is looking at people's reactions when they look at fish decks and they see a single fairy in it. They see Vendilion Click, and I remember playing back in Lorwyn, and that was okay. The tribe? There were tribes in Lorwyn. There were fairies. There were all these different tribes of Merfolk, but they just all mixed together. They had fun together. They were best friends. But then you go and play a tribal deck in Legacy now, and people go, "Why are you playing a fairy?" Oh, it's because Vendilion Click is good.
Oh,
That's
really
why it's
good.
a good card, and it carries a jitter.
I've done that same trick, click trick against Aether Vial as well.
Nice.
Someone had pumped up an Aether Vial up to 3 or 4 and activated it when they were top decking,
and then you respond.
They forgot you can respond, and they went to drop, and I said, whoa, and I clicked it and sunk it, and he just had nothing. And
it's good.
Good. A few little tricks you can have with the click.
I do love click. I'm a fan.
And there we go. So that's unlucky from Nick. Some really great hands and some really great jams.
Yeah.
From Barrie.
Good. I like that. Really great hands and really great jams. We're always coining phrases on this channel, so I hope you've enjoyed watching round 2.
Thanks very much, guys. We're Adelaide Eternal.
We'll be back soon.